I never imagined that what was supposed to be a joyful flight with my 8-year-old son could turn into the kind of nightmare that ended with federal agents storming the plane. Ethan had just come out of remission from leukemia, but his daily medications were non-negotiable. Missing a single dose could send his counts plummeting. That morning, everything seemed perfect until Karen from the HOA decided to make our lives miserable one last time. We live in a quiet, gated neighborhood where everyone knows everything about everyone else. Karen had been the self-appointed enforcer for years, penalizing neighbors for a grass a fraction too long, complaining about holiday decorations still up in February, lecturing children for chalk drawings on the sidewalks. She'd hated me ever since I painted my front door a shade of blue that she declared non-compliant. What started as minor complaints escalated into weekly letters and anonymous tips to the city. I tried to ignore her, but she was always watching. That morning, we were rushing to catch our early flight to Disney World, Ethan's Make-A-Wish trip. The trip we dreamed about through years of chemo, hospital stays, and nights I feared he wouldn't wake up. His excitement was contagious, clutching his Mickey plush, counting down every minute until boarding. I had his medical bag packed with military precision, pills sorted by day, a cooler pack for the ones needing refrigeration, all the doctor's letters, everything TSA would require. I triple-checked it. At the gate, my stomach sank the moment I saw her. Karen, in her signature visor and oversized sunglasses, sitting just a few rows away, staring right at us. What on earth was she doing on this flight? She had no family, no children, no reason to be there. I forced myself to breathe and focused on Ethan's grin. We boarded with a family pre-board group, stowing our carry-on in the overhead bin above row 12, seats A and B. His bright red medical bag, complete with a large medical tag, was impossible to miss. I made sure it was secure, then helped him settle in, tablet ready for takeoff. As the plane filled, I noticed Karen walking down the aisle. She paused at our row, glancing up at the bin, then at me with a strange, knowing smirk. "Oh, hello," she said, voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Fancy seeing you here." I nodded, forcing my attention back to Ethan. She moved past and took a seat a few rows behind us. Takeoff was smooth. Ethan, exhausted from chemo fatigue, immediately leaned against me and drifted off. I closed my eyes for a brief moment, relieved we were finally underway. About 30 minutes in, I reached for his water bottle and realized it was almost time for his noon dose. My heart skipped. I opened the overhead bin. His red medical bag was gone. I checked again, pushing aside other bags. Nothing. I peeked under the seats and into seat back pockets. Still nothing. Panic rose, sharp and fast. Those meds weren't optional. Without them, Ethan could relapse or worse. I flagged down a flight attendant, voice trembling, and explained the situation. Concern flickered across her face as she promised to check the cabin. Soon, passengers began inspecting their own bags. The pilot even made an announcement asking if anyone had seen a red medical bag. Silence. Then I noticed her, Karen, 3 rows back, shifting in her seat. Her oversized tote, always glued to her side, sat wedged between her feet. The zipper was slightly open, and a flash of red fabric caught my eye. Inside, I stood up on shaky legs and walked straight toward her. "Karen," I said, forcing my voice not to crack, "did you take my son's medication bag?" She looked up at me with wide, practiced innocence. "Why would I ever do something like that?" she asked sweetly, but her fingers tightened around the tote. The flight attendant stepped beside me. "Ma'am, we need to check your bag. A child's life-sustaining medication is missing." Karen's expression hardened instantly. "This is harassment. I'm not opening anything." That's when everything broke loose. I snapped. I told her my son had cancer, that those pills were the only thing keeping him stable, that if anything happened to him, I would never forgive her for the rest of my life. The cabin filled with murmurs as passengers twisted in their seats. Someone shouted, "Just open the damn bag already." Karen hugged it to her chest like a prized possession and refused. The flight attendant radioed the cockpit. Minutes later, the pilot's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, We have a serious medical emergency on board. We are returned to the gate immediately. The plane banked sharply, engines roaring as we turn around. Ethan stirred awake, confused, asking why we weren't going to see Mickey anymore. I pulled him close, tears soaking his hair, promising him everything would be okay while my mind screamed that it might not be. We taxied to a remote gate. The door stayed sealed. No one spoke. Then the front door opened and 4 FBI agents in dark windbreakers boarded the aircraft. They moved down the aisle with purpose, badges flashing under the cabin lights. The lead agent, a tall woman with a tight ponytail and no-nonsense eyes, stopped at Karen's row. "Ma'am, stand up and step into the aisle." Karen went pale but stayed seated. "This is ridiculous. I'm not moving until you explain yourselves." The second agent unfolded a document. "We have a federal warrant for your arrest. Interference with life-sustaining medication across state lines. Stand up now." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Ethan squeezed my hand painfully and whispered, "Mommy, are they police?" I nodded, unable to form words. Karen stood slowly, clutching her tote like armor. The lead agent reached for it. Karen yanked it back. "You need a warrant for my personal property." The agent didn't blink. "We have one for everything you're carrying." She nodded, and another agent firmly but calmly took the bag. Karen lunged, screaming, "That's mine." "You can't." Phones were everywhere now. A man across the aisle muttered, "She's actually fighting the FBI." I sat frozen, heart hammering, praying the red bag was inside. Right there in the aisle, the agent unzipped the tote. Out came Karen's wallet, a scarf, oversized sunglasses, and then, wrapped casually in a sweater like trash, my son's bright red medical bag. The plane exploded. "She really stole it," someone yelled. Another voice shouted, "That's attempted murder." I collapsed into tears as the agent checked the medical tag and handed it to me. I tore it open. Everything was there: the pill organizer, cooler pack, doctor's letters. Nothing missing. I hugged it to my chest like it was Ethan himself. Karen started babbling, voice cracking. I didn't mean any harm. I was going to give it back. I needed to teach her a lesson. The agents ignored her, cuffing her as she talked over them. She's been breaking rules for years. The blue door, the unapproved backyard playset, parking over the line. Someone had to enforce standards. I couldn't breathe. She risked my child's life over paint colors and HOA rules. The pilot came on again, apologizing for the delay and confirming we'd continue to Orlando once authorities cleared the aircraft. But Karen wasn't finished. As they walked her up the aisle, she twisted toward me, eyes wild. "You think you're special because your kid's sick? Everyone pities you, lets you get away with everything. I built that neighborhood. I made those rules." A flight attendant tried to hush her. Karen screamed louder. "And that Disney trip, Make-A-Wish handouts, you don't even need it. He looks fine." The cabin went dead silent. Ethan buried his face into my side and began to cry. I felt every stare, every breath, every ounce of rage boiling inside me. I was shaking so hard I stood without thinking. My son fought cancer for 2 years. He nearly died 3 times. And this woman had hidden the only thing keeping him alive because she was jealous of a Make-A-Wish trip. Karen sneered even in cuffs. "Prove I hid it. Maybe it fell. Maybe you misplaced it and wanted attention." That's when the lead agent stepped forward. "Ma'am, we have multiple witnesses who saw you access the overhead bin during boarding. Security footage shows you watching the bag being stowed, and your fingerprints are all over the medical tag. Prints that weren't there this morning." Karen's mouth snapped shut, her face drained of color. They marched her off the plane. The door closed behind them. For a moment, silence. Then a woman in first class started clapping. Slowly, the entire plane joined in. The applause built into thunderous cheering. Someone shouted, "Give that kid the best trip ever." Strangers wiped tears from their eyes, reached over seats to pat Ethan's shoulder, and whisper how brave he was. I sat back down, still shaking, checking his medications to be sure. He looked up at me with wide eyes. "Is the bad lady gone?" he asked. "She's gone, baby, and she's never coming back," I said, pulling him close. The plane took off again 20 minutes later. Ethan rested his head on my lap. Mickey ears perched on his head, finally relaxed. I stared out the window, replaying the morning over and over in my head. But the strangest, most unbelievable part was still ahead. When we landed in Orlando, a voicemail was waiting from our neighborhood Facebook group moderator. Karen hadn't just been obsessed with rules. There was something much darker behind her behavior. The Florida sun hit the windows, bright and cruelly cheerful. Ethan buzzed with excitement, pressed against the glass spotting Disney shuttles below. I felt numb, autopilot carrying me through, smiling for him, pretending none of it had happened. My phone lit up with missed calls, texts, notifications. Neighbors, friends, people who had seen the viral videos. The arrests had been live-streamed, trending on every platform. HOA Karen hides cancer kids' meds. FBI storms plane. But one voicemail stood out. It was from Lisa, our neighborhood moderator. Voice trembling. "Call me the second you land. It's about Karen. You need to know why she really did it." On the Magical Express bus, Ethan distracted by the Disney welcome video playing overhead, I stepped to the back and called her. "Thank God you're safe," Lisa said. "Listen, after the news broke, people started talking. Karen wasn't just a busybody. She lost a child." My breath caught. 30 years ago, Lisa went on, a little boy the same age as Ethan, had leukemia. She fought for him the way I fought for Ethan, fundraisers, treatments, experimental medicine. But he didn't survive. Pieces clicked together in my head. After he died, her husband left. She threw herself into the HOA, building a fortress of rules, so her pain could stay buried. When Ethan's Make-A-Wish campaign began, the neighborhood rallied around him, raising money, putting up signs, holding bake sales. Karen snapped. Lisa said that years ago, at a holiday party. Karen admitted she couldn't stand to see another little boy get the happy ending hers didn't. The big Disney send-off, news crews, banners. It pushed her over the edge. One neighbor saw her printing fake violation. Notices the same week, she bought a ticket for our exact flight. It was deliberate. Lisa lowered her voice. When the FBI searched her home, they didn't just find HOA files and photos of her son. They found a fireproof safe. Inside were dozens of envelopes. Every single donation check ever sent for Ethan's treatment and the Make-A-Wish trip. Over $40,000. She never cashed them. She just kept them. Proof that people still care about a sick little boy, even if it wasn't hers. I couldn't speak. Tears rolled silently. Lisa explained. She wasn't trying to kill Ethan. She was trying to stop the world from moving on without her son. To freeze time when people still remembered, still hurt, still fought. But our happiness, Ethan's remission, that was proof life goes on, and she couldn't bear it. The bus pulled up to the hotel. Ethan bolted toward me, laughing, dragging me into the lobby where Mickey awaited. I knelt to his level. "Ready for the best week ever, buddy?" He grinned, gap-toothed and perfect. "Yeah, Mommy, no more bad ladies." And there it was, the payoff I never expected. Karen's arrest didn't just save Ethan's medications. Recovering the intercepted money allowed Make-A-Wish to help 2 more children. The viral video raised awareness nationwide about tampering with medical supplies, leading to new federal protections. Our neighborhood dissolved the old HOA and started fresh, prioritizing kindness over rules. Karen pleaded guilty, got 15 years, and reportedly started therapy in prison, keeping a photo of her son on the wall instead of hiding it. Some nights, I still get angry. Most nights, I feel sad for her, for the grief that turned a mother into a villain. But every morning I wake to Ethan's laughter echoing through whatever hotel or ride we're on, and I know the real ending. Love won. Hope won. My little boy won. No envelope. No stolen medication bag. No cruel act could ever take that away.